America's defense secretary said a few hours ago, when we attacked last year, Assad did not get the message. He did not stop using deadly chemical gases to poison and murder women and children. This time, Secretary James Mattis and President Trump said, we will hit harder and we will keep up the attacks if necessary. Here's President Trump.
The purpose of our actions tonight is to establish a strong deterrent against the production, spread, and use of chemical weapons. Establishing this deterrent is a vital national security interest of the United States. We are prepared to sustain this response until the Syrian regime stops its use of prohibited chemical agents.
And in studio now is our senior defense correspondent, Shai Ben-Ari. Shai, Iran just minutes ago warning of regional fallout here. Again, Russia promising there will be consequences. Tell us, I guess, from a defense standpoint, what Israel is doing, what the coalition partners are doing today, in case there is a military response from Syria, Iran, or Hezbollah or Russia.
Right. In terms of Israel, of course, is the IDF on high alert because of the general tension in the buildup to the situation already. I would think that it's not necessarily very likely that we'll see Israel pulled in to this particular crisis. We may very well be past it in a sense. It really does depend on Bashar al-Assad and his partners there in terms of what kind of reaction they take. In terms of what we heard earlier in the broadcast of the Russian defense minister saying that the Russian air defense systems were not activated because the incoming missiles perhaps weren't targeting these facilities. That may be true, but it's not that they didn't have that they weren't within range of the air defense batteries that Russia does have on the ground.
They could have attempted. They were
indeed. For example, the targets in Homs are only a few dozen miles from the port of Tartus or the port of Latakia, where we do know that Russian facilities exist and where they probably do have these surface-to-air missile batteries. They probably could have chosen to fire if they wanted to. That says a lot that they didn't actually activate those systems despite a certain promise.
What does it say? I mean, does it indicate perhaps really Putin weakened here militarily? He didn't even try.
I think that Putin probably didn't want to get into a major escalation here with the United States. He has a lot at stake, of course. He wouldn't necessarily come out with the upper hand. I think that could be more damaging to his prestige than simply restraining himself with this kind of strike. I think if we have time, I'm not sure if we do, but if we have time, I think we can hear what General Dunford, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, had to say about this coordination issue with the Russians.
We specifically identified these targets to mitigate the risk of Russian forces being involved, and we used our normal deconfliction channels. Those were active this week to work through the airspace issues and so forth. We did not do any coordination with the Russians on the strikes, nor did we pre-notify them.
So this is significant, of course, in that the Russians essentially knew something was coming. They maybe didn't know the specific target.
Not from the U.S. We heard the Pentagon saying it wasn't us, but this was maybe from France or from the U.K.
Right. This is the coordination mechanism here that was activated to make sure that the airspace was cleared for U.S. activity there and to not to have any Russians in the way in terms of that. But they weren't given notification of any of the specific targets.
So quickly, was this more than symbolic?
I wouldn't say so necessarily. I think this is a more substantial symbolic reaction, perhaps more substantial than last time, but still very much a symbolic sort of measure.